about to be revved into life. It's the West Cork Rally. The top seed Bertie Fisher leads them into 2 days and 19 stages of beautiful but punishing rallying. Vincent Bonner has left behind him the fishing business in Donegal, and with co-driver Dermot O'Gorman is all set for a big challenge. John Prce has brought over his powerful Metro 6R4, a car ideally suited to these wet conditions, but hampered on stage 1 by a misting windscreen. Mike Patterson has his boot and sock off in the Cosworth. That's because he's got a thorn in his foot. Bernard O'Brien may be lacking in sponsorship, but not in pace. At the end of the stage, he's up into 7th place. Luke McCarthy in the Manta has taken advantage of Peter Lloyd's difficulties. The windscreen wiper has broken off Lloyd's Metro and he's been overtaken. And here's Gwyndaf Evans, he and co-driver Gareth Lloyd ready to have a right go in the Escort BDS. Tony Pond leads out the new Dunlop Metro Challenge, Pond being used as a benchmark drive for the other challenge entries. And here's a right battle. John strangled Darien, bearing down on both Jerry Boland's Peugeot and David Cottrell's Ascona. Here's Tossie Hayes, and behind David Kelleher, all guns blazing in the Corolla. We move to a different location to catch one of the biggest incidents of the weekend. Paul O'Connell getting it all very wrong. Amazingly, the Escort was still in one piece after that, but now there's the problem of getting it going again. Let's try it this way. No, hang on. Maybe this way. Rally photographer Michael Chester is in hand to flag down the next car through. That's John Moynihan and Ted O'Riordan. And then it's some willing hands to get O'Connell and Pat King motoring again. It's still very wet, but there's no holding back Bertie Fisher, who's really moving in the ex-Russell Brookes Cosworth, this car having won the Manx and Audi rallies last year. Ironically, coming behind him is the BMW he rallied in himself last year. It took him to victory in the Irish Tarmac Championship, but now it's in the hands of Bill Connolly from Gore's Bridge. Tom Meany's in the hot seat beside him. Vincent Bonner is going very well in the Manta 400. Sitting beside him is Dermot O'Gorman, the Athlone man, of course, more usually seen with Austin McHale. Here comes John Prce in the impressive Metro. John coming tearing down the road on 16-inch wheel rims, and just listen to the roar of the 6R4's engine. And coming now in a slightly more sedate fashion is Bernard O'Brien in the Escort. Even taking the time to indicate a smooth run was soon to end, however, a ditch making it a short Paddy's weekend for him and Liam Hayes. Cosworths everywhere, but not a place to pass. Mind you, Don Bailey from the Isle of Man is feeling the heat. That's young Liam O'Callaghan climbing all over him to pick up a place in the Group N battle. It's getting a bit crowded in West Cork. This is Sam Hawkins coming through in the Chevette. Well, there's a bit of traffic congesting behind him. Next up is Rob Morse in the slightly remodeled Escort, while Nigel Scudamore's Darien is in hot pursuit. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Leonard Downey is having some difficulty in getting the Sunbeam to do his bidding. Perhaps David Hall has one eye on his mirror, perhaps even both, but a small slip has given Oliver Stanley in the Escort the chance to close up even further. In the cold, damp conditions, it's nice to watch rallying from indoors, and when the indoors is a pub, it's even nicer still. But the Guinness is about to be shaken in the glass as the cars come through stage 4. Ballinascarthy. And rally leader Bill Connolly working hard to keep intact a slender lead over John Prce and Vincent Bonner. Prce started stage 4 just 3 seconds off the lead, but he's been finding the roads too smooth and slippy in places for the Metro, and by the end of the stage, he's dropped to 3rd overall. Bertie Fisher lost time in the previous stage with a puncture, but he's in flying form here, setting the fastest time on the stage. Martin Gandon is having a really good run on the left-hand drive Lancia Intergrail. He's the top Group N driver and in 10th place overall. And here's Tadhg Dineen coming in the Escort. He and Maria Buckley are going great guns, holding down 7th place overall now. However, Mark Gill's Nova finds itself somewhat outclassed in this situation. Kevin Evans' Darien is a much quicker machine, so there's no point in fighting it. Mark just pulling in to let him through. Alan Buckley and Billy Kelleher are in the sunbeam and being closely watched. Behind the main rally comes the historic rally, which has become a welcome feature of rallies over the past few months or so. Still, you wonder if it's a pity to put these lovely cars through this kind of punishment. And here's somebody now having a close call. The Mini Cooper doing a bit of road clearing, and quite lucky that grass margin was firm. Derek Skinner in the MGB is fastest in the historic section, despite his best efforts to write the car off. Stage 5 of the rally had to be cancelled because of a funeral, so it was on stage 6, and not a happy one for Bill Connolly. An accident involving one of the 00 cars badly held him up and has robbed him of the lead. So it's that roaring manta of Vincent Bonner which comes through to take advantage of Connolly's upset and take the overall lead. John Prce was disappointed with his performance on this stage, but nonetheless, he was to find that he's now moved up into second place overall. Fastest through the stage was Bertie Fisher, but ironically, this was the last we were to see of the man from Ballina-Mallard, or the tough Mac Sierra Cosworth, for this weekend anyway. More about that later, but first an anxious moment here. The ditch was beckoning for Stephen Hendy and Russell Bolton and the escort. Luckily, Hendy managed to grab it back, but the first major drama of the West Cork Rally was about to unfold. Ballina-Scarty again, and Bertie Fisher is out of the rally. A massive accident on the stage in which he rolled the Cosworth into a field has left Fisher with a major rebuilding job on the car in order to be ready for the Circuit of Ireland. What's more important, however, is that neither he nor his co-driver, Rory Kennedy, were hurt, although badly shaken. The early cars, as we see here, went through the stage, but after Fisher's incident and then another accident, the stage was stopped, with the cars taken through in convoy to the next test. Well, after all that incident, it's time to take stock of this grueling event, though it's good to see that there's still room for a bit of humour in all the hectic activity. Indeed, it has to be said that there's been many a divorce threatened in this costly and time-consuming sport. Service completed, it's time to move out again onto the next stage after a check on those all-important time cards. Bill Connolly continues to chase the lead in a rally that he won 2 years ago. He now looks quite at ease in the BP-backed BMW after having some reservations in Galway. But Vincent Bonner remains the man they all have to catch, even though he's been unhappy with tyre choices all weekend. And John Prce continues to hold down third place overall with just seconds separating the top three. Back down the field, it's Oliver Stanley in the escort, who's about to have an anxious moment at the bend. And behind him, Richard Clancy is about to be overtaken by Ray Thomas in the Astra. We'll see more of Ray later, but meantime, here's Richard's problem. The front left wheel of the Chevette very buckled. It certainly doesn't look very healthy to me. Let's go in car now with Tony Pond in that Dunlop Metro GTI as we're about to enter some very narrow streets. Navigator Mark Milton has been having a problem with his intercom, so the odd hand signal is no harm. The driver can also follow the red marker arrows. Every vantage point is called into use for the next stage. It's the last one of day one through the streets of Clonakilty, and the crowds have come out in force to watch the action. Mind you, some people seem more concerned with the cameras and making an impression than they are with the rally cars. Mike Marshall of Killarney Rally of the Lakes fame is in Cork to act as a timing marshal, and he counts down Bill Connolly away from the start. Many drivers regard these spectator stages as no more than an exhibition for the crowd, But as we'll see later, the exhibition can get a bit out of hand sometimes.
To do service at the West Cork Rally.
In the gathering gloom, Mike Dineen keeping the crowd happy, throwing the escort around with great glee. Sometimes, of course, you can throw these cars around too much. Well, remember Ray Thomas of the Astor, that's him giving co-driver Robert Richardson a right fright before heading on their ashen-faced way. But Colin Rowe in the Fiat 131 is not to be outdone. He raises the excitement pitch in Clonakilty several notches by trying a different angle. And it's clearly all too much for the locals. Sunday morning, and the scene is a bit more tranquil than the one we just left the night before. St. Patrick's Day has dawned bright and dry, but the roads are still a bit damp and muddy and will catch out more than one competitor before the day is out. This is the Rossmore stage, and what a setting for rally leader Vincent Bonner. He's cleanly through this section, but he's already been in trouble on a chicane back down the road. He's lost part of the right wing, but more importantly, several valuable seconds. That's certainly not such a good idea with fellows like Bill Connolly and John Prce breathing down your neck. Here's Connolly, now third overall, and putting the BMW through its paces. As Nigel Scudamore goes through in the Darien, we look back down the road at Tig Dineen. We left him entertaining the crowd on the spectator stage in Clonakilty, but Rossmore is proving a different kettle of fish. Tig gave co-driver Maria Buckley a good look at the sea there, and although they got going again, it wasn't for long, ending up in a ditch on the next stage. And things are getting a bit out of hand for Stephen Price too, as Chris Griffiths goes through in the Manta 400. Price is in trouble at a bend further down the road. Stephen, as we said, is the son of second-place man John, and there's no doubt that he's inherited buckets of talent from his dad. But West Cork is being unkind to him. After that difficulty, he had trouble getting going again. And here he has to let Sam Hawkins through in the Chevette. And though he gets sorted out for the moment, his rally will end on the next stage after he'd parted company with the wheel off the Nova. Car 56 is the escort of Rob Morse, known to some as the Inspector. He goes sliding through this stage, and he's been followed by the Metro of Don Kettleborough. Kettleborough had his car blessed by Priest the previous day, and he certainly seems to be going well under divine inspiration. Stage 12 is a good dry stage, and Vincent Bonner still commands the lead despite that broken wing. John Prce holds down second place overall, but he's beginning to regret changing off those forestry tires he was using on the first day. Bill Connolly reports that the rubber in his back tires went off during that stage, but it hasn't made any difference to his overall position. Others found things going off as well. And it's not just their tires, as you'll see. By stage 15, Vincent Bonner has the Manta looking like a stock car, and what's more important, he's lost the lead. A big incident on the previous stage has cost him dearly, now down to third place overall. News of Bonner's escapade was music to the ears of Bill Connolly. No wonder he got a bit carried away with himself. Despite that spin, he's now holding down second place overall, just 11 seconds off new leader John Prce.
Would you want that?
And here's a lovely shot. The new and the old. Frank O'Mahony's Cosworth followed through by Brian Davies, having a great time in the Cortina. So too Liam Brady. No, not that Liam Brady, showing plenty of confidence. But it's Bill Connolly who's looking most confident of all.
Well, we're very pleased with the way we've managed to adapt to the car. I wasn't exactly enamoured with it in the Galway Rally, but it's so much better for us here.
Well, it's very good yesterday, but today has been very mixed. Every time we change the tyre, we seem to always land on the wrong one. And as I'm speaking to you now, we're sitting on slicks and it's starting to rain again. So, you know, we're just throwing it away on tyre choice, you know. That's the way it goes.
Well, Vincent has been there all day. He's had an unfortunate incident on the ring stage. But he's been there. He's a strong contender.
Yesterday, you know, I had the brakes mostly screwed to the back of the car. And the stage was dry and we were braking too hard on it, and the car just came around and spun and just caught the bank. But there's no damage, just superficial, you know. There's no plastic in there.
Meanwhile, for David Cottrell, the problems ahead are a bit more basic.
We're going to run out of petrol in. Oh, right. Yes, we've just been to service and the van were locked up with no petrol. So if we run out of petrol halfway through, I'll just scream.
Well, at least you can laugh about it. The sound of sirens is an indication to the crowd that the rally is heading their way. And for Bill Connolly, it's been a great event. He's about to pounce on the overall lead for his second win in West Cork. John Prce has driven superbly all weekend too, and he'll go on to take second overall. Perhaps Vincent Bonner will be less pleased with his third place. Bad luck led to frustrating errors that just kept on coming. Mike Patterson has driven a sound rally in the Sierra Cosworth to finish in fourth place on the leaderboard. And what about that Darien T9E of John Strangle? Finished a great fifth overall. Right behind him is another Darien, this one in the hands of Graham Cole for his sixth place finish. And it's been a good weekend for Oliver Stanley, carrying the Carlos Sainz sponsorship. Not to be confused with another Carlos Sainz. Here's Leonard Downey in a bit of difficulty again. That footpath's giving a lot of people problems. And Thomas Holton took a good look as well. But there's a message on the back of his Peugeot 205 for the following bunch. Catch me if you can. That's Nick West in another Peugeot, proving that anything the others can do, he's well capable of also. But Bill Connolly was the man who drove the cleanest and quickest all weekend. He came to West Cork with doubts about the ex-Bertie Fisher BMW, but he's left it with a solid warning to everyone in next weekend's Circuit of Ireland. He's a driver in form.